world is full of wonder.
Hi, everybody. It's Chris Donovan here. Welcome to the next episode of Unveil, the podcast where the invisible meet the visible. Today, our guest is an Aboriginal and African artist. A long time ago, his ancestor came from Africa in a slave ship and settled in Western Australia. He lived in Broome in the Kimberley since he was 5 years old. And he started to see spirits in his garden at the age of 19 and has been diagnosed with schizophrenia the same year. He passed most of his adolescence in a psychiatric hospital, and now he's a free artist. He loved painting, drawing, creating sculpture from recycled material, making video, producing music with his computer software. I have the privilege to work with him as a multimedia art therapist for 2 years, and together we produce more than 20 mini animation. A big welcome to June.
Unveil Podcast, where the invisible meets the visible.
Ciao, June.
Yeah.
How are you
Hi,
today?
hello, Chris. Yeah, I'm fantastic, thank you.
You're fantastic. Yeah, I can see from the head and from the headphones, excuse me. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
excuse me.
Ready for the
Yeah.
rodeo?
Yeah.
So me and June,
Yeah.
we just been together working on animations for a little while, like couple of years, I think, right? And yeah, we
Yeah,
create so many things together.
I worked with Chris for a year and a half or something on
Yes.
animations. Yeah.
If I can ask one thing, like the first question that is it seems like the simple one, but actually is the most difficult one. Who is June?
June Tack is he lives in the Kimberley, travel around Australia. He's African, Aborigine, African descent and Aborigine, and June Tack is an artist and black dude. I see myself as a black dude, a black guy in a remote area in the Kimberley.
Fantastic.
2,000 kilometers from the nearest city, and I'm an artist.
Fantastic. Where are you born originally? Yes.
I was born in Northern Territory in the Darwin Hospital, and my mother was killed in a car accident, and I was adopted when I was a 4-month-old baby.
Wow.
And then I travelled to top end Cairns and went to Queensland and moved to Sydney, and then from Sydney, age of 5 years, travelled to Perth, and then to Derby, and then came to Broome when I was 5 years old.
You've seen so many
And I've been in
places.
Broome.
Wow, I didn't know, June.
Yeah.
Nice. So Broome
Yeah,
is still the best place to be for you, or there were some places that you loved the most when you were traveling?
Broome's always been home, but I've been away I went to a private college, and I went to a Catholic college.
So you told me last
you got a question?
time, because sometimes we were talking, and the last time we were talking about something really specific and beautiful to hear, like really unusual, about your childhood. That you told me that during the night you had kind of paralysis and some really interesting situations that I would love you to talk about this if you can.
Yeah, I got when we came to Broome, I was 5 years old, and my mother, we lived out in 12 Mile, and my mum married her best friend's husband, and we never had power out there, and we never had electricity, and we used to use a generator, and I was scared of the dark because there was no lights at night, and they had to switch off the generator, and it was in the dark, and I used to have sleep paralysis, and I was only 5 years old. I used to talk in my sleep at night, and excuse me. I used to talk in my sleep at night and see different things in my sleep, and my parents were really scared to wake me up because I was pointing into thin air, pointing into darkness, and saying I can see blues and greens and oranges and pinks, and just pointing in the air. And my parents were too scared to wake me up from sleep because I'd see in colours.
Yeah.
And I talk in my sleep, and they were too scared sometimes to come in my room, and they wouldn't come in the room. And then when I was older, turning teenager, years, I took on my parents' adoptive name, which was Tesling. And then when I turned 18, I became homeless, and I came back to my parents' property at 12 Mile and Mango Plantation, and I changed my name to June Tack, and I ended up with schizophrenia, and used to think there was like people coming to me. I'd be sitting in front of the TV, and people were coming to me in the garden, and spirits were coming to me in the garden, and talking to me in the garden, and it was nighttime, evening time, and it was dark, and I used to feel spirits around me, and then
Wow.
and I started to sense the spiritual world of spirits. And only last night I saw my friend, he's a clairvoyant, he said the spirits, the white spirits are angels, and the dark ones are bad spirits. But the other night, I had an angel standing next to me, and I think it was my sister.
You told me about the first time that it is really connected with the first time that you saw like an angel, right? When you were 19, you said me that.
I'd only just I've only just turned 18, and I started and the mirror shattered on the bed before I moved. I left a mirror on my bed bed in the room. Before I walked in the room, it shattered, and me and my dad started arguing because I smashed the vanity cabinet, and the mirror shattered before, and it's like 13 years bad luck, 13 years bad luck. And me and my dad started arguing because he said that I smashed the vanity cabinet, and we were arguing in the lounge room, and we were like arguing. I was like, my dad's like a heathen, strict Christian Catholic, and he's like man of the house, and I was standing up to him and stuff, and me and him were having a man-to-man, just a dominant argument. He was trying to domain over me, and I started to stand up to him, because we had guns in the house, and I said no, I don't. I said no, and then I could hear something coming from the kitchen window, and it was calling out to me, Jack, 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 and then I looked in the thing, and I saw this like really bright light, like a bright light, and the angel was standing up, and he had like pure white hair, and he had red eyes, he had white hair, and he had like a black suit, a white suit with a black collared shirt and some sort of tie, and he was like sort of like floating and between me, like standing behind me and like in front of me in the kitchen window, and he appeared to me in like a cloud, like some sort of mist, and I said to my dad, I can hear someone saying, and I'm like listening and looking around, I said, I can hear someone calling out Jack, like what's going on? And I can hear somebody saying Jack, 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 Jack in the window, and Dad said, and I said, can you hear someone calling out Jack, Dad? Someone's calling out Jack, Dad. Someone's calling out Jack, and he said, I can see someone. He's looking at me, and he said, I think I can see an angel. And Dad said, oh, you've got schizophrenia, you know.
He was not believing that you were actually able to see spirits, but was something that needs to be covered or healed in a way, right?
Yeah, something that and I must when I shattered the mirror, I must have foreseen my future for like I had to carry that bad luck with me, and that follow superstition, and carry that superstition with me for 13 years of my life through schizophrenia. Was 13 years of bad luck, and from shattering the mirror. And you don't leave mirrors lying on your bed because it like gives you bad luck and that.
In Italy, we have the
Yeah,
same
you don't touch the broom. Yeah,
we
you
cannot
don't pick up a broom at
break
night.
a little piece of mirror because we're gonna be completely done for
Yeah,
the rest of the life.
yeah.
Or if a
And
cat,
you,
yeah, all this stuff.
yeah,
It
black
is
cat
bizarre.
buses you, but you have to sometimes you have to be like, no, you can't, you have to be like, just not superstitious.
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't not superstitious, and just sometimes in circumstances superstition should be avoided, because it's not anyone else's belief in bad luck. It's your own belief,
Yeah,
and having a
absolutely.
belief system is important. Having a belief system is important, and if you don't want bad things to come to you, you don't have to believe in that stuff. But being delusional and having belief are two different belief systems, and
Absolutely.
sometimes your delusion and your belief can become reality. And I
Absolutely.
really believe in the spirit world, and there's a strong sense of connection with country and the people in the Kimberley, and with people, and there's a certain sense of community, and a strong sense of family, and family is important too, because if you have a strong family network, you can just pass the kids off to your aunties and uncles, and your cousins and nephews and that extended family, and you don't have to worry about your children and that, because your family are there to support.
Yeah. You think that if you had like a childhood where your father and your mother were supporting you in this kind of, we told about it when we were doing animation, is a kind of superpower, right? To see spirits. Do you think that if your parents they were supporting you in these visions, your life would be different
I
now?
think my dad was an artist too. He was an
Okay.
artist as well.
Yep.
He used to paint oils. He was an oil painter. He used to paint and oils, and he did a lot of stuff on he was an artist as well, and he did a lot of carvings and stuff, and naked mangrove women and stuff, and carving in limestone, doing naked women carving in limestone and working with wood. And he used to go with the Aboriginal men and make boomerangs and stuff like that. But he was an artist as well, and he had a strong sense of Aboriginal belief and art. And my stepdad said to me, "You're an artist, but you don't know how to shade." And I was really disappointed, because I thought I was a good artist, and I started drawing from an early age. But my dad was a gypsy too. He might have been a gypsy, because he was German and Austrian. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it might have passed something on to me. But they did support me with my art and stuff like that.
Nice.
But with the spirit world, my dad was he was artist as well. But yeah, I think they supported me with my beliefs, and they were supportive of me when I changed my name. But I think my family was, they were European as well. My cousins and brothers and sisters were European, and it was like living in a crystal ball, and stuff, looking in a crystal ball, looking in a crystal ball.
European people, never trust European people, you know what I mean? Not Italians, most
Yeah, yeah.
all the
They're
others.
all, well,
But yeah,
I saw a backpacker. I saw a backpacker the other day, and he gave way to me on my push bike, because it was really midday heat and it was really
yeah,
hot, and I was crossing the road and I had a flat tire on my bike, and he
yeah.
just smiled at me and let me go past it. And I said, "Oh, thanks, mate."
Amazing.
Far
They
out.
are
I
full of
was
love.
exhausted. It's like,
It's exhausting.
it's like when you see your own kind of dad's people and stuff and other Europeans, it makes you feel, I don't follow. They say it depends on for Aboriginal people, if you're male, you follow your father. If you're female, you follow your mother. But for me, it's not about Aboriginality and following my father's footsteps or my mother's footsteps. It's about um, me being male, following my dad's people, and listening to being around other Europeans is important to me because my father's gone, and I still want to believe in the spirit world and life and existence after death and all that.
And it
But
keeps
yeah,
you
it's
like
like
your
it's
mind
just
really open to talk with different people from different parts of the world. It just keep you really open, and probably is like it's giving to you some inspiration for your creative things at the moment. But I really like to ask
yeah.
you like what happened after your father said, "Oh, you have schizophrenia." Like what happened after that? Like because that moment
Uh,
was like
after
yeah, important.
after that was after my dad said I had schizophrenia. It's like all the bad luck came to me, and I had to carry my cross and crucify my mind through tablets and long haul procedures, hospital procedures and stuff. Flying to Perth and finding out what sort of treatment I need, like whether I had cancer and going through radiology and
Yeah.
having tests done on my having all sorts of CAT scans and stuff to see if anything was wrong with my brain because I was saying I was spirits were coming to me, but I never actually told anyone um that I was seeing stuff, and I never told anyone that I could sense spirits and I had a sixth sense. I never told anyone of things like that. I kept it to myself until now. And when I became an artist doing music, yeah, it was just the whole system and being locked away for most of my life was probably good for me. So it helped my mind and helped me to stay healthy instead of being out in the real world and doing drugs and alcohol
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
You said me
And
that you were in
yeah,
the psychiatric hospital for a little while. How you felt there, how you were living there in the system, in that kind of
uh,
environment.
um, I was we were like little live pets, like just being in a confined space, fighting and bickering, wandering around aimlessly, pacing around. We only got like $45 a day from the welfare,
Yeah.
and the welfare office used to come give us for $25 a week, and for the tuck shop, and
Okay.
yeah, just wander around and just like sit down and do art pictures and just like when you're young and I suppose they when they see someone who's intelligent and they have a lot of potential, they want to protect them from the outside world and keep them from a life wasted and stuff.
Yeah.
And they want the best for them, and they want to protect them from that violence and
Yeah.
alcoholism and all that sort of stuff. And but there was other people in there that were special, and I used to see other people, other girls that were special, and yeah, other special girls in there and
Got
other
it.
special people.
And
But
in
yeah,
the
it was just
psychiatric
like
hospital, you were seeing spirits there, or it just turned in something else, or how was your relationship with the spirit world when you were there, the hospital?
with this I don't know. There was no real connection there. There was no. I knew I knew where I was, but I had like it's like keeping it inside, keeping your beliefs inside and keeping it in your heart, or keeping your ideas about if I had a certain song or a rap song, or if I had a rhythm or a song, or I had some sort of idea or belief, I had to keep it to myself and just put it on paper and just like think about the good things, for me, one thing there was used to keep me sane and strong was like the moon. And I think about werewolves, and because I've seen a lot of horror movies, and I used to count how many moons I've been in the hospital for. Like I might have seen 20 moons, 24 moons, and
Wow.
then they let me go, and then I go home and count the moons,
Yeah.
how many full moons you see, and then you know how long you've been, because like one full moon is like how many cycles, 4 weeks or something, so
Yeah.
you count 4 weeks, and then I must have seen 6 full moons. That's 4 weeks. And yeah, it's like and then when you misbehave, they put you in the hole, and you try to protect your friend and say, no, don't do that to my friend, and they pick on you and shut you, and like, oh, you got to go in there and
Wow.
behave, and we'll let you out, give you a needle, and you have to so I stood the mattress against the camera, stood the mattress up there, block it off, and just sleep on the floor,
Wow.
and then they come in and feel sorry for me and say, poor thing. And then coming home is another thing. Coming back to Broome is another thing,
Yes.
But yeah, under the circumstances, I still believe in the supernatural and the spirit stuff, but I had to keep it to myself. And then when I became an artist and did music, I put it into my songs,
Of course.
because I was following Snoop Dogg, and he was an artist. He was the only artist I knew, and I used to put his stuff onto paper and believe in his stuff as an artist. And then and then later down the track, I realized that music was important to me to express who I was, and I believe prison was only when I was 23 or 24. It was only short term because I was very sick and I collapsed on the basketball court, and I escaped the prison system, and I got sent to Royal Perth Hospital when I was 23 or 24 for snatching a handbag. I stole a handbag, and I got sent to prison for that. And I ended up in hospital because I collapsed on the basketball court in the prison, and I escaped the prison system, and it wasn't a place for a schizophrenia to be, because I had schizophrenia, and they used to come into my cell and give me medication and pump me
Medications.
full of medication in my cell. Yeah.
It's okay. Like we
Yeah.
all
But I
have
collapsed on the basketball.
really terrible moments of our life with different shades. So it's like we make mistakes, right? Like if I think about myself at 21 years old,
Yeah.
man, I was terrible. Like I was constantly against my mom. I don't know my mom. How can she be some friend with me at the moment? So I got it. Like this is a sense of
Yeah, I
rebellion
hate
at some point,
Yeah, you have to rebel. Like I had really
We
long
have
hair,
to.
and Mum and Dad used to put me in a dress, and I was a boy, not a girl.
I want
And I was like, I
pants.
couldn't
I
wait to
don't
get out of
want
the
your
house.
dresses
And like,
with flowers.
yeah, I don't want to wear a dress. Stop dressing me up. I'm not in a dress.
I'm a
I'm not a
gangster.
girl. I'm a boy. And
Can
like,
you?
and then I came home and cut all the hair off,
Of course.
like long hair,
Yeah.
cut it off.
For me,
Cut it
was
all
the
off.
opposite. Like
Like,
I wanted long hair, and my mom was constantly cutting my hair as like I have a scoop on my head. I was like, it seems like like not a nun, but like a monk, not a monk. Who are the ones that they
why
have?
do they do that?
It's there because it's
Why do
easy.
parents do that to
Probably they
their
can
children? Because
because
they
it's
can.
easier. My mom never wanted to brush my hair, so I was like, okay, let's make it quick, and I
That's it.
was ugly in an incredible way. So you had the
But
opposite.
why you have to rebel against your parents, because then they teach you how to
It's a
rebel against
stage.
the system and find
Yeah,
all the loopholes. So
it's a
you have
stage.
to assert yourself. If anyone ridicules you, you have to fight the back. You have to stand up for yourself, because everyone has the right to be in the world. But I don't know why parents do that and why they're so hard on their children.
They're like
My
humans
mum
too.
smokes like a train.
They're humans too. They make
Yeah,
their
but
mistakes, so we have to accept it. But at the same time, it's good to detach. But now you're
well,
really
think about
connected with your mom too, right?
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but think about Jesus. He gave everything that he had, and he had nothing for himself, and he used to give everything that he had. Yet, I ask my parents for anything, they won't give me anything, and I have to I have to ask, I have to go without. If I want something, I have to either save my money or I just have to go without because I can't depend on it. You can't depend on anyone but yourself,
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, you have to put yourself first, because you're the most important person in the world, and everyone has the right to be on this earth because we're all made out of love. You know what I mean?
Definitely. You
And my heart,
said so much truth, June. Like you are you remember when we were working together sometimes like June, you are my master. I was saying because sometimes you just come out with
but like
incredible concepts. Like it's totally
like some people like have low self-esteem, and they don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And some people are helpless alcoholics and drug addicts, like they turn to drugs and alcohol because they think no one cares about them and stuff, and that kind of thing. And when you're smart, when you give someone a little bit of encouragement and say, oh, your ideas and stuff are good. Like when we were working to the animations, Chris, you like really encouraged me, and you showed me new things like how to make these creations and be creative. These days, I'm using a drum set for a metronome to do my to create new songs and stuff. I'm using a homemade drum kit and just a couple of jerry cans and stuff to and a sort of hubcap from a tire for a cymbal, and I'm using a homemade drum set to do songs and stuff from jerry cans and jerry cans and that sort of thing, and a couple of pots and pans, just bang around. And because I don't have a metronome, a metronome is a drum beat, and it goes tick tick tick, and it like creates a little beat, and I'm like playing the drums, saying I'm a vampire rider. I'm a vampire rider.
Yes, I miss it so much.
I wanna ride into the night. And you're playing on the drums and creating a metronome, a beat, and then you say riding up behind you, gonna find you, and like riding into the night, and like that sort of thing. And you need to create sound to get your expression. You can't like people, they say are mad, sit there and they don't say anything. Like mad people will sit there and they won't say anything. That's what you call mad. But if people have sound and music in their life, it changes their whole aspect. Everyone needs sound, and
they can express their emotions too. One of the questions that I would like to ask you, and is exactly related to all the things that you're saying now, is like from that moment, how is your life now? How is your typical day? Like I can tell a little bit that 1 year ago we passed together 2 years, and I was doing multimedia art therapy with June. So I've seen in him straight away this talent, because when I came in his house, I've seen all these drawings of incredible characters.
Similar. Yeah.
Wow. Like I was like, and sculpture and papers with music on top, like, and I was like, let's transform this in a cartoon. And you pick it up straight away, like, yes, Chris, let's do it. There was so much enthusiasm in it, and I was like, yes, we can make it. And I remember our first animation was Diablo. You remember Diablo?
Yeah, Diablo. Yeah, Diablo was he was interesting. And no one really understood it, but when you watch it, I haven't seen it for a while, but I like them animations because they're funny and they're interesting. And I like your scream when we did zombie and stuff. The little zombie animation, that's really creative, and it's very funny. And it's like people laugh when I show them the animations.
We create like in 2 years 20 animations. 20 animation we created. I just check it out, like my file on the computer, 20 animations. And you start with characters that they were based from the demons that you were seeing. So they were really, really cruel, really like, oh my goodness, this is so scary. But the last ones I remember, do you remember the one at McDonald's, the two gangsters, they were picking up food from McDonald's? I will put everything, all these animations on the description. This way you can see it.
They're like I don't. Those gangsters might have been one might have been a hitman and a mafia dude.
Yes.
Or it's like fat and slim, fat and slim. Fat and slim. The skinny one just smokes cigarettes and drinks alcohol and
having a cheeseburger.
Soft drink, and the other one, and the other one likes Coke and burgers, and cheeseburgers. The skinny one that smokes, doesn't worry about eating it, smokes and gives all the food to the fat one. Here you go, have some food, mate.
But our masterpiece, June, our masterpiece was the one that we did this for the people at home. Like, we did this improvisation in the car, interpreting me, a gum tree, and you, a tour guide in the nature. And we create, it was one of the last ones. So we just create from really scary ones. From that to talk about culture and in a super funny way. That was our masterpiece, June.
Yeah, about broom time and the gum trees and nature, save the trees and all that, save the planet. Virgos believe that they're going to save the world, Virgos, because I'm a Virgo, all the other Virgos believe that we're going to save the world.
I can't believe that you saved the world, June, at some point. Really.
Yeah, I do. I want to save all the damsels and save the world from, save the world like Jesus would, or God would save the world. No one can fix all the problems in the world in one day, but if you help your fellow brother and your and have respect for country and don't pollute, pick up your bumpers and pick up a bit of rubbish.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't take much to keep Australia beautiful and keep things beautiful. Like, don't pollute the beaches and don't leave plastic in the water for the dolphins and turtles. Save the planet and that.
It's so important, and because of your culture
nature,
too.
And if you don't look after Mother Nature will shit on you. Because, like, when I was a child growing up in the bush, I used to get stung by centipedes, scorpions, see a lot of snakes, spiders, that sort of thing. So if you be respectful to an animal, and it's like if you see a snake and a snake comes up to you, don't try and kill it, because if you leave the snake alone, the snake will leave you alone, and it won't bite you. So just have respect, for animals, and don't kill anything, like animals are our food source, but other little animals and stuff feed into the ecosystem, and you shouldn't pick on, because you're a human being and you're top of the food chain, you should look out, can be conservative in that, and have respect for you, just have, just be a good human being. Just don't be so destructive, like how human beings are destructive and like to destroy everything.
If you can have like a vision of the future that you like to see, how you can see this future?
For myself?
For the humanity,
or for other people?
For all the globe, like talking about the nature in this case, and the fact that we can be actually guardians of this planet and not just destroying, taking, but just giving back, as your culture was used to do. Like, there were like Aboriginal people, they were not taking. They were always being in balance as Native Americans. So
I think that the important thing is the how you can be how you can is to what is the word I was going to use, to share cultural experiences, to give knowledge about country and stuff, like teach people about trees and medicines and that sort of thing, and say this is what you don't touch, this is what you can touch, and this is what you can use from country. Like, if you go to a certain place or a certain beach and you see a rock and it's telling you not to go there because you can't go there. You know, country will tell you, oh, there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, and like, you know, it's just important that you have to be mindful. We're just like you know, human beings. You know, they need nourishment and stuff, and we get that from the earth. So maybe try grow a tree or something, plant a tree for the future, that sort of thing. I'm not a greenie. I wouldn't say I was a greenie. I'm very destructive. I want to get a job and I want to work in recycling, but
Nice.
I can't talk. I pollute as well. But I like gardening and stuff now these days. I like to get out in the garden, and I did a few zombie films where I had fake blood and I poured it over a white shirt and sprayed it over a white shirt, and I eat fingers in the garden. So if you see, like, you know, for my future I'd like to do film, and I want to do film and do zombie movies and maybe some horror movies, and do zombie movies about zombies eating fingers in the garden and
Why not?
being with butterflies.
Why not? We're gonna present it in
and
the Festival of Venice one day. I told you, and I say that one day I promise you, June, you will come in Italy with me, like to see the Michelangelo chapel, because June loves Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and I always consider her the Leonardo da Vinci of the Kimberley. So it's...
Thank you. That's a lovely compliment, though. But I like Leonardo, and I like those artists because they were the first innovators, and they were the first inventors, and they were the first lovers and fighters and all that sort of stuff for mankind on Earth, and they were the first inventors, you know, and their creativity set the trademark or the benchmark for everyone else and all the artists in the world to be creative.
Absolutely.
Creativity, Chris. Creativity is important to keep your mind occupied so you don't get mad.
And because if we want to change the world, we have to be creators too. Like with the ideas, we can really create new projects that they can help the earth too. Like there's so many intelligent people around the world that they are devolving their intelligence to projects that they are incredible. Like, and they can really make reversible what we are doing on this planet.
Like Einstein and the light globe, they gave light to the world.
Yes. So we have to
that
keep
sort of
creating.
Inventors. Yes, please. Maybe just come up with some some nice creations. Some more creations. Be more creative.
What do you like to say to the people at home about whatever you like? An advice or something. Whatever comes.
Anything. Peace, man. Peace. Peace.
We are peaceful people.
Peace. Yeah, we want peace. No war. No war and fighting or peace. Don't fight. It's like no war.
It's time to stop to have wars around the world. We need creators. We need people as June that they're creating their own world, and when we create, actually I think we are really aligned with ourselves, so we don't need to make a war because we are happy.
And it comes from in here, you know, in here. And it comes from in here, your feelings, you know, inside, and whatever you feel, you put it on paper, pen and paper. Your ideas in your head, it comes from your heart and your gut. You need to eat food, and you need to have feelings in your heart and have humanity, and you can do anything is possible if you believe, you know, and you have feelings, you know, from the heart.
Yes.
Feelings from your heart, and you can put whatever you love, you know, fall in love with whatever you love in life is your feeling, you know.
You make me cry, June. My goodness, really.
Yeah.
You made me emotional. This was the what is this? The speech of the granny in Hollywood. Like it was way better than this. Okay.
I'll say I'm gonna have a heart attack in a minute. Like I feel like giving me a heart attack. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? How you have feelings. All human beings have feelings and stuff, but you need to be have tolerance of other human beings. And I have a lot of respect for you, Chris. And I think you're a brilliant person and you're very intelligent. You're probably one of the most intelligent people that I know. Thank you. Is that it?
Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell only that in the description of this video, I'm gonna put, if June, of course, wants, his SoundCloud profile, the animation that we made together, so you can discover him more and his creation and his point of view. So we're trying to put him out there. And it was an absolute pleasure to have you here today. It's the first episode, and I was really nervous about how to talk, how to say, and sometimes we talk on each other, but it doesn't matter. It was perfect and spontaneous as it is, and I'm so happy that you are the first person, because we pass so much time together, we grow together, and we create so much, and we share our soul, heart, and spirit that every time that I think about a couple of years ago, not 1 year ago, I feel really emotional about it and really proud of us. And I feel it's only the beginning, because I told you, like, one day I'm going to bring you in Italy and you will come with me and talk about what you bring in the world, because it's people that talk about a beautiful change, as you were telling before, that they're really the ones that needs to be listened. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was an honor.
Yeah, thank you.
And
you.
thank you
Keep
to
evolving,
Philippa.
Chris.
What?
Yeah, Philippa's not here. She's gone somewhere. She disappeared.
Because we have our beautiful friend that without her, this podcast was not possible.
Philippa, sorry. Yeah, she's coming.
Come here and show yourself.
I can hear you though.
Come here and show yourself. We were telling that you were the bridger to make this happen. So we want you at the end of the podcast, because you made the miracle happen, and we were appreciating your presence so much in general. So as a human being, like, you're an incredible soul, and you make this miracle happen, even if all this difficult situations and stuff. So really, thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome, and thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. It happened.
Yeah. Bye.
Ciao, belli.
Bye.
Bye.
We cannot hear you both. Say goodbye.
Bye. See ya.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
We love you.
See ya.
Love you. Ciao.
See ya. Oh, that was good. See ya. Bye.
I feel so grateful for this episode, because this man is incredible. Like, as you heard from the podcast, his life was really, really deeply difficult and full of obstacles and full of dark moments, really, really touching, rocking the bottom. But his soul, his spirit is so strong, and he's constantly creating this new project, this never-ending creation for him. And working with him, it was one of the most incredible experiences that I had in Australia. It was a privilege, because he showed me how resilience can be vital to be alive, to still be alive, despite of the darkness that can come in your life and through your life. And thank you so much to be with me today. It's a pleasure, and I will see you on the next episode. Ciao.